All right, folks, welcome back to Fast Gadgets. Well, I was sitting out here. I've shot a couple of videos today, and I thought, I should probably do a live video and do a update to Fedora 28. It's absolutely beautiful out here tonight, and I have my laptop. I'm actually running off the battery. I'm thinking I have at least 4 or 5 hours of battery left. Let's see what it says. It doesn't really say, it just says discharging 89%, but I'm willing to bet I have, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours left. So what I think I'm gonna do while we're out here, I'm gonna put this in a tripod, see if I can close in a little bit. Whoops, sorry about the bumpiness. And I'm gonna do a upgrade to Fedora 28. Now, I could use the GUI, but I did not actually see anything for the GUI. Usually, if I go into software, I have to be able to spell, of course. But if I cruise into software, usually right here under featured app, they'll showcase when Fedora 28 is official, which it is, so I kind of expected to see it. But anyway, I thought, well, I've pretty much done all of these steps, so I should be able to go right down to this step right here. So I'll make a copy of that. And didn't want system monitor. I don't have my mouse out here, so bear with me. Pull up the handy dandy terminal. And I know I sense swearing right now. Why are you using the terminal, man? I know, I'm sorry. To me, it's just easier. Let's see, is that big enough for everybody to see? All right, so I'm gonna become root. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna type in the password. At least I'm gonna try. Let's see if I actually successfully did it. No. It is so difficult for me to type with one hand. Honestly, if something happened to me and I lost some fingers, I think the channel would be completely doomed. Okay, now we have it. So I should be able to do a shift insert. And theoretically, I'm going to press enter. No such command. Well, that's interesting. So I guess I do have to install. How you doing, paper bag man? I'm going to go back a step. I was thinking I didn't have to do this, but I guess I do. So why not? Shift insert. Yeah, I tell you, Stacy, it's no fun. And usually this plugin is automatically installed. Well, I shouldn't say automatically, that's not right. It's installed when you actually run this command, but apparently you have to do it for every version that comes up. So, no, you know what it is? This particular computer, you remember I had to reinstall Fedora 28 from scratch. I'm moving the phone over a little bit, so if you hear a bunch of noise, I apologize, because I'm going to try and be able to see your comments. Indeed, serendipity. Okay, so now if I use the up arrow, I should be able to do a release version. upgrade to Fedora 28. Yeah, I was out on the deck. I shot a couple of videos here, and I did one on the MacBook Pro keyboard issue, which is getting worse. 1804, good choice. Yeah, I know what you mean about installing from scratch. Now, this particular system is basically brand new, couple months old. So I had put forward Fedora 27 on it just recently. So I figured it was okay to do an upgrade over what was there. But I wonder about my desktop computer, the Dell 5675, because I've been having some problems with it. And it makes me think that I might have to consider doing an installation from scratch. Had to. I can handle it. I did here on this particular system. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I took the SSD out of my older computer, which was a legacy BIOS, and put it into a computer with a modern BIOS, and turned the setting in the BIOS to legacy support. So I kind of cheated. And I honestly don't know if that was the wisest thing, but I figured, what the heck, I'm going to go for it anyway. And it worked, but I do have strange issues where the system will freeze or reboot, but it never happens in my Windows login, so I'm thinking it is not hardware related. Oh, nice. You can print to your Wi-Fi printer. Now, I'm able to do that in Fedora. I didn't have any problems, and it seems to work fairly well for me. And one of my requirements, really, I don't know if the driver's as good as, official drivers that you can get. I have a Brother laser printer. Dave, haven't seen you in a long time. The one problem is I have a very, very poor Wi-Fi connection out here on the deck. Cool, good to know, David. So I'm not really sure how long this download is going to take. It could be a long, long time. I really hadn't thought of that. 2.4 gigs. Let's see how fast it. Now, I did upgrade my internet connection to 150 megabits, but I guess it depends on how fast things are going to go. 1.1 megabytes per second, ETA 32 minutes. It could be worse, I suppose. Nothing wrong with using Windows 10. I mean, if it works for you, who's going to complain, right? I do have to use Windows 10 still at work, so this system that I'm doing this upgrade on here is a dual boot. Hopefully you guys are still there. I probably shouldn't have started this out on my deck. That was probably a bad move. Well, in the other room. It's okay, bud. Let's get the puppy dog. Come here, baby. Say hello to everybody. It's okay. She's so afraid. There you go, bud. All right. I think what I'll do is take a walk into the house, and I'll get a better connection. That way I can just keep on shooting. So don't mind the rough camera work here. Hey, buddy. Say hello. Pixie. Say hello, Pix. Oh. So I'm going to go in the room right where my Wi-Fi router is. And that should make a big difference as far as connectivity goes. All right. Plus, I have my other computer here in my newly fashioned office. So now we have a much better connection. Hey Louie, how are you? Well, since we're in here, I can bring up my Dell Dimension 5675 and I'll be able to see your responses better. Whew. Well, that made me short of breath. I hate that. Okay, so we are going to boot up the Dell right there. Well, actually, it's doing it by itself, so I don't have to worry too much. And if I do need my power supply, at least I have that as well. Things are going much, much faster now. This is a good thing. All right. You know, my thinking with Fedora 28 was, okay, so it just came out today. I mean, how bad can it be, right? Well, you never know. I like to wait at least a couple of days, maybe a week or two, and I didn't do that. So I'm kind of taking the plunge here. But my thinking is it'll be fine. And even if it wasn't, it doesn't really matter because it's not really my production system. And bear with me, I'm getting my computer started up. I actually wasn't planning on doing this. I just figured, why not? All right, because I want to be able to see your comments. I gotta agree, Paper Bag Man. It is a beautiful thing. It just makes my life so much easier. Okay. I think it's in Create. No. Maybe Dashboard? I always forget where you go to go live or see user feedback when you're live streaming. So don't mind me if I all of a sudden get really quiet. Yeah, I'm in Creator Studio, then Live Stream tab. I'm going to go back to Dashboard. Believe it or not, I don't see it. I thought it used to be under Create. No. Now you see that flashing? That's my screen going dark as it does the installation. Well, I should say download. Oh yeah, big difference since I came in here. 2 minutes left. Yeah, that's the thing, Stacy. To me, it's a lot different. I mean, Windows is for profit, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not disparaging that. To be sure, it's different than Linux. And I think you can find help with Windows just as well, but I do feel like it's different being in Linux, in my humble opinion. Huh, it actually thinks I'm offline on the computer. I don't know why it thinks that. Yeah, I would agree with the elitism comment. Unfortunately, that's very true. And it can be very, very frustrating. I just wish that, people would understand that not everybody is an expert, and we all started somewhere. We all started at a point where we are still learning, and I think it's just inconsiderate that they would think that everybody is at their level of understanding with computer technology in general, not just Linux, but anything regarding computers. I'm going to plug in the power so the computer doesn't keep going dim. Exactly. I feel like we should treat each other the way that we want to be treated. I don't know why, but there we go. And I see it used the crappy thumbnail anyway, even though I did a nice one. Yeah, that thumbnail's garbage, but oh well. Okay, now I can see your comments much better. Yeah, Stacy, I think most people you would hope have that common sense, but it doesn't seem like it, does it? By the way, Viper29, I wanted to tell you, I saw your video with the microphone, and I actually used the same exact mic as you. Not for this shot, of course, but there's mine right there, my blue snowball, and to me it's awesome. I mean, this is my favorite microphone without a doubt. I got this one for 39 bucks back in the day. It was an open box, so I went ahead and bought it, and it only cost me 39 bucks. So as far as downloads go, we are fairly close to being completed, and we're getting 4 megabytes, not megabits, so you have to multiply by 8 if you want to get the megabits. Almost 5 megabytes. Yeah, I thought you sounded way better with that microphone. It has nice presence, so you're definitely gonna, the quality of your videos will go up a lot just from that microphone. But I always try to catch your videos and drop you a like when I see your stuff. Okay, so it wants to import the key for Fedora 28. So I will say yes to that, of course. Oops. I guess I have to be typing on the right place. Yes. And one for RPM Fusion, yes. And another one for non-free RPM Fusion, so we'll say yes. Good, good, good. So now, uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Time to do the reboot. DNF system upgrade reboot. Here we go. It's one thing I like about reboot commands in Linux. They don't mess around. There is no, are you sure you want to do this? You have one program open, you this, you that. It's really annoying. By the way, I hate that the text on the screen is going to be so tiny, but I'm going to try and zoom in and see if I can get it in for you. See, up in the very corner. Can we get it to focus maybe? Focus is always nice. It doesn't look like it wants to focus, but it's saying start starting system upgrade, this will take a while. I'm pretty sure if I wanted to, if I press the tab key, nope, I guess not. It's not going to show me anything by pressing the tab key, but if I move the camera up a little bit, you can now see that it's actually installing all those packages. It says it's on 90 of 4,593 packages to update. So I think it's going to be going at it for a little while. Which is typical. Now, the one thing I do like about this Yoga 920 is that it is a 4-core system and it has the 8th generation i7. You would think that's trivial, but I don't know if you guys watched my comparison between the Yoga 910 and the 920. I took the exact same video. Well, actually, it was a cut video that I created in Kdenlive, and I started them at exactly the same time, same OS, same everything, same Kdenlive version. The only difference between the two units is one's an i7 7th gen in the Yoga 910 and one is an i7 8th gen in the Yoga 920. Ran the render. Yoga 910 took about 90 minutes. The Yoga 920 took 30, I believe it was 33 minutes. It was crazy. Well, Louis, I just shot a couple videos on MacBooks. I really like Mac. Just out of curiosity, what do you like about yours? Are you a developer? First year computer science college student, also makes tech videos. Thanks for watching the channel. I appreciate that. Thanks for the compliment. I'm just guessing that you're a developer, and if you are, I can see where many people prefer to use Mac OS. I don't do a whole lot of development myself, so my knowledge of why Mac OS versus why Linux and which one do you prefer is fairly limited for that specific use. Personally, I'm less of a developer, way less, and more of a system administrator. And my education is more surrounding administration, networking, and security. Okay, it now says 718 of 4,593. So that's not too bad. It's cruising through them pretty good. It's kind of a shame because I just did an update and there was like 1 gigabyte, almost 1 gigabyte, 907 megabytes of updates that I did. And my thinking was, wow, these days when we do updates, we're very nearly replacing the entire operating system when we do updates. I mean, that blows my mind. Yeah, the Yoga 910s are nice. I do have a person who's going to buy my Yoga 910. Even with video editing, it's still a good system, but the 920 is just a hair better. I would like to point out, though, if you have a case for the 910, I don't know why they did this, but they made subtle changes to the 920 chassis. And this is my opinion, of course, but when you look at this chassis, this edging is so sharp. You literally can run your nail against it and you can file it down. You probably can't see it, but there's dust. I've cut into my nail and scraped it off. That's how sharp the edge is on the 920. Well, on the 910, it wasn't like that. Everything was a beautiful, beveled chamfered edge, and you didn't have to worry about that. But unfortunately, with the 920, you do. I wish computer manufacturers could think about things a little bit more. My big beefs with the 910, of course, was that the camera was located down here instead of up here like it is on the 920. This wasn't really a big problem for me, but the space, or excuse me, the shift key is smaller on the 910 than it is on the 920. The mouse pad actually is not quite as good. It's I don't know how to describe it, but the 910 has a nice firm tactile feel. The 920 has kind of a cheaper, loud, clunky feel when you press it. I don't know if you can hear that. I'll try to be quiet. Put my mic up here. You didn't hear that with the 910. It was really beautiful. And the other thing they did, the 910 was just, silver, just aluminum silver, and it had a black keyboard. The 920, they made it, they call it silver still, I believe, but it's really space gray, and they made the keyboard dark gray instead of black. So I'm disappointed. I assumed, I'm getting the same exact thing as the 910. The only difference is the processor. And that's one of the things I like about the MacBook. When they create that design, they stick with it for a few years. Not the case with this one. Still a great system, don't get me wrong. Does this really bother me? Am I cutting myself on it? No. No, it's not like that. It's just, if you watch Dave 2D, he has a video on it, and he does point out, if you're handling it and stuff, it's uncomfortable. You're not going to slice your hand open or anything like that. So, yeah, I agree with you, Stacy. Personally, I just think that, design-wise, the Macs are near perfect. They really are. So, just found out that my phone here is at 20%. How did that happen? So, give me a second, guys. I'm going to put this up here, and I'm going to go get my cable so I can charge while we're talking. Hold on one second. Yes, I do. Actually, talking about the home key, it's really nice. If you know how to use it with the function key, it actually works great. I like the arrow keys. I like the fact that the insert key doesn't require the function key, because I use that really a lot. You have to do a shift insert in the command line, of course, instead of control insert. And it just works really well for me. All right, let's see if this actually charges. Wow, my iPhone is warm. I think I'd have to exit the app to know if it's actually charging. Well, I guess it'll complain again if the power goes down too low. No, you're not, Stacy. Asking, are you the only person that turned a laptop into a desktop replacement? For the longest time, that's what I was doing. I just hooked it up to an additional monitor and used my laptop. Louis, I have 2 videos shot as of today. They are Mac related, but they're ready to go. Well, they're not ready to go. I have to edit them. And once I get the editing done, I'll I'll be able to actually put those up. I was going to edit one tonight, and I was going to do this as an actual video, but I thought, you know what? I think I just want to go ahead and do the Fedora 28 upgrade. And sometimes I will do it using the graphical interface. Sometimes I will do it using the command line. The last time I did the graphical interface update for Fedora 27. This time I'm figuring I'm going to do this with Fedora 28 using the command line. Yeah, my life got a little complicated there for a while, so I wasn't able to output as many videos as I wanted to. And now things are starting to calm down, so they're getting a little better. I did move my studio like we were talking about just a minute ago. Oops, can't go too far or I'll lose my power cable. Into my bedroom, actually. Because my son was supposed to be moving back in, but his life's complicated too. He's actually in an apartment right now, and he may be moving in, he may not, and it doesn't really bother me, you know, if he did. I moved my computer into my room, but what I'm thinking of doing if he decides not to move in is just go ahead and use the studio for shooting purposes. So I'm going to reconfigure the desk that's in there and the setup I have so that I can shoot video in there no matter what time of day, because I have huge lights in there that I can use, really nice studio lights. Yeah, it is family over everything. I mean, there's not anything I wouldn't do for my boys. I got 3 sons, and if they need someplace to go, they're always welcome. They know that. They're the most important. I mean, I have a lot of fun working on computers and doing stuff, but if he needs the room, he needs the room. But I don't know what his planning is. He likes his apartment. It's just really expensive right now. They really are. Oh, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. I get along really well with my boys, and you know, that's not always common. It's something that I've been blessed with. You know, there's been hard times. Oh, thank you, Louie. But even so, you know, I've learned to work through the hard times, and they have as well. And I like it when they're home. I'm actually it's something I'm used to. I was the youngest, you know, in my family when I was a little boy. And so hearing a lot of noise around the house is common. And then I had 3 boys, so you know there was a lot of noise around the house then. Really wasn't any different, you know? So, yeah. I mean, why not? So let's see what happens if I switch camera angle. Hey, it actually worked. What do you know? Sorry about the weird low angle there, but I just switched the camera angle. So you probably can tell what kind of a fan I am based on my books and stuff back here. Got all the original, and these are original print paperback editions of Star Trek, the classic series. Then I have the animated episodes. I have the Star Trek 3 videotape here. Yeah, I love Star Trek. I was raised on Star Trek, and a little Enterprise that actually will light up. Pretty nifty, although the red nacelles don't light up, which kind of bums me out. And gotta have a phaser. And this one, when you press the button, lights up. Star Trek, Star Wars. I mean, when I was a kid, that's what it was all about. And I loved it. I just couldn't get enough. Yeah. And I love Ubuntu. Don't get me wrong, Ritual. I do. I'm a little concerned about data tracking, but it isn't privately identifiable information, also known in the industry as PII. So I don't worry too much. I think it's way less intrusive than Windows 10. So that's something to consider, and you do have control over it. What I find unusual, yeah, nowhere's near what Windows 10 is doing. I just watched a video, and I'm trying to remember who it was, but they were showing the updates that are coming up in the Spring Creators Update, or whatever they're calling it, that's coming out soon for Windows 10. And one of those updates lets you clear the data that was collected about you, but then you have to click a link and also go to your account information on the Microsoft website and clear that as well. And I found that sort of strange. And one of the things it said right at the top of the web page that was, and this is Microsoft saying this, Microsoft is committed to your privacy. And I'm thinking, if you were really committed to our privacy, instead of allowing us to delete the information you've already collected, I would think you would let us just not have it collected. So we would have a switch to turn off collection. So you go through all these new changes that lets you delete what's been collected, and then you have to go to the Microsoft website and log in with your credentials if you do have a Microsoft account you're using on your computer, and do the same thing. And it's not one button, it's components, browser history, application history, OS usage, and so on and so forth. So it takes time. Why not just say, I don't want it collected at all? Especially, and this is my big pet peeve, if you've paid for it. If you bought Microsoft Windows 10, you should have latitude on that. You should be able to turn it off. So that bugs me. With Ubuntu, you can turn it off if you want to. So, and even if you didn't, though, it's generic aggregate data. So there's nothing personally identifiable to best of my knowledge. And they're not recording that. So even if they were subpoenaed and they had to give up information that they've been collecting, it would basically be useless. You know, you couldn't tie it in with any one person. The thing about Ubuntu, and I know this, and knowing this, you would think I would just go ahead and switch over to Ubuntu. Fedora doesn't do quite as well with applications, meaning if, for example, you decide to install, any given GIMP. Well, no, GIMP works okay. What would be a better example? Virtual machine software, for example. Not Boxes, which is already installed. VirtualBox, my favorite one. Now, things have gotten a little bit better, but I'm pretty sure in Ubuntu, if you want VirtualBox, you simply install it and you're done. Well, that isn't quite the case with Fedora, you see. We have a few problems we have to flip through first. Number one, you have to disable SE Linux. Number two, it doesn't tell you in advance that you need kernel headers and kernel devel. So you have to download that. So basically your install will fail, right? So you have to download those, then run it again, and then you might find another package you're missing, and so on. If you're using Secure Boot, you can install it. And that's not the fault of Fedora necessarily, but so there's all these little problems, you know, where dependencies or packages are missing. You would think when you install VirtualBox, if it needed GCC and make, kernel headers, and kernel devel, they would be dependencies and get installed. Would you not? So it just irks me that you have to flip through these hoops, to get things working right. It's not always. Lately with VirtualBox, things have worked pretty well. But that's really kind of been the thing that bothers me most about Fedora, that I think that is their shortcoming. And I'm not going to say they just dismiss it, but if you go do troubleshooting, and do a search on the internet and look in the support forums, and they'll say, well, did you install GCC and make, and did you install kernel headers? I'm like, okay, it's been 3 years since I did it. No, I forgot, and I just thought it was going to work, but it didn't work. And then you have to go back. You get all that stuff, and you run it again, and it still will not compile. Oh, I actually needed to disable SE Linux while it compiles, so I'll go ahead and disable it. We'll try again, and you go on and on and on and on. And I feel like with Ubuntu, you just install VirtualBox, and then you're all done. And you can run it. And that's it. And that's the way it should be, shouldn't it? That's my opinion anyway. And why does Ubuntu do so much better? Because, and I know I'm going to get backlash on this probably from commenters later watching this video, it is a for-profit company. So the customer's experience is important. I'm not saying that isn't the case with Fedora, but to some extent, they are just purely open source, and one of Fedora's main missions is to support Red Hat. So their attitude is, well, we're sorry it didn't install. You should have known you needed these packages. I know that, All right, let's see what the comments are. Yeah, I would too. I would get if you can. I don't know how to do it, Ritual. I mean, if you do videos, you should do a video on it. By the way, we are on install package 4465 of 4493, so I should switch this. Now that you've heard my terrible rant about Fedora, let's see if I can get this to not be crooked. Okay, now let's see what it's doing. 4540 of 4593, and I think after that it's going to do a package check. A perpetual peanut in the gallery, huh? I love it, Ritual. What is popcorn or popcorn, Ritual? I'm assuming it's probably the module or package that is doing the monitoring in the first place. Okay, so at 4593 of 4593, it's running the scriptlet for kernel 14.16.5. And now it's running a whole bunch of scriptlets, so it's probably doing the cleanup. So we've been at this 44 minutes, 25 seconds. You can get a pretty good idea of how things are a little bit different when I just shoot a video of an upgrade than when you actually are here watching it with me. It's just much shorter if I edit it and clean it up. Sometimes I feel honestly guilty doing live streams. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're just going to sit here and listen to me rambling, and they're not really seeing anything but a blurry thing up in the corner. And what is it doing right now? Verifying packages. It's at 1100 of 4593. So now it's doing verifies. And this should go very, very fast. And then hopefully it'll be ready for a reboot. I do like the installer for Fedora. I feel like it's simple and straightforward. It could be much worse. I did a video recently comparing the installers for Windows and Mac OS and Linux. Actually, it wasn't just on that. It was on my top 5 reasons why you should go to Linux for your next OS. And one of the reasons is the installer is just so much faster. In my opinion, if you've got to do an OS update or even just a installation from scratch, it's so much faster to use Linux. And I'm going to go with reliable. Based on what I've been hearing with Mac OS lately and Windows, things are kind of scary. Okay, I see. Popularity contest, hilarious. PopCon tracks what packages are installed on your system, and if you remove it and it doesn't affect your system, why have it if it's not something you need? So it makes sense to me. All right, we are on 3,000 of 4,500 packages. So far, so good. I'm just hoping that I don't have a crash at the last minute. I doubt it. The number of times I've installed Linux, I just don't feel like I should have to worry about that, because the number of times that I've actually had my system crash after an install are very, very, very rare. I could be pushing the envelope a little bit on this one because it's literally a day old. One of my pet peeves with getting the ISOs, and it does make sense when you get a newer, say you get the Fedora 28 ISO 6 months from now, it's going to be very old, and the first thing you're going to have to do is run updates. Well, sometimes, things aren't working quite right when you do the install, and you need to do updates, and you may have problems like with getting Wi-Fi working, for example. And it can be a little bit of work to get that working. Let's see how it's doing. 4,300 of 4,593, so pretty close. It does have the little Fedora balloon down here. Interesting, I don't have a mouse right here that fills up as it's completing what it's doing. I tried to hit tab because I was hoping I could just see all of the output, but I actually wasn't able to. Okay, upgrade complete, cleaning up and rebooting. Now, one time I did have to manually reboot. It said that and it never rebooted. Processor seems busy. Okay, there we go. We have our reboot. I'm hoping we get better focus here, a little bit better. Now, before it goes on, the kernel that it's going to boot to is 4.16.5-300. Previous kernel was 4.15.14. I don't know if you heard about kernel 4.16, but it's the first Linux kernel that actually has less lines of code in it than its previous kernel. And it's rare, exceedingly rare. So I think I am charging, but my phone just harped again and said it's only got 20% left. I think it's just a trickle charge. Yeah. Not sure how to pronounce your name, Napstar. Yeah, if you are a hardliner, go check out Free Software Foundation's recommendations. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and log in. See if I can remember my password. Now, the worst thing I've had happen is where the GUI starts up and then crashes, but I haven't really had that be an issue for a long time. It was older versions. Okay, GUI's back. So in less than an hour, we've upgraded to Fedora 28. Provided things work, right? All right, kernel version 4.16.5-300.FC Fedora Core 28. Of course, we don't call it Fedora Core anymore, and I do it all the time, mainly because I actually was using Red Hat right before Fedora came out, and then once Fedora Core 1 came out, I started using Fedora Core. They did away with that, but it's still kind of hints there in the kernel, which I think is a chuckle. I'm not sure why they don't go ahead and change that, but that's okay. Let's see if Kdenlive launches. And I'm going to launch Kdenlive on my desktop and see if there's any difference in the version that we're using. 17.12.2. No. Oh, yeah, a minor revision. No, 17.12.3, excuse me. They're both the same right now. Now, at some point during development of the next Fedora, and this is one of the things that kind of is a disappointment for me with regard to Fedora, they will stop releasing major updates. So if we do a DNF list GNOME star, I believe we're on, the newest version we're on right now is 3.28. And at some point they will stop releasing any type of updates. Instead, what they'll release is security fixes. And that's logical, but unlike other distributions, they are quick to get to that point. Oh, are you really? So Arch is right up to date then. Like kernels get updated quickly. So we're going to be using 3.28 of our GNOME-based packages. I usually don't use GNOME though. It's interesting to see GNOME weather test, well, it says tests, is still 3.26, but the majority of GNOME looks like it's updated to 3.28. But that's really probably the last major update as an example for GNOME. GNOME, I call it different things every time, that we're going to see from here on out. We will see security updates, but any minor or major revisions will not happen in this version of Fedora. In order to get those newer versions in the near future, you have to upgrade to the next version of Fedora. So you have to wait 6 months for any major or even minor revisions, unless it's a security fix. So that's how you get your application updates. Kernel, on the other hand, is always updated. I mean, constantly updated. What about Firefox? Got my Firefox running here. Help and about Firefox 59.02. And again, Firefox is more of a security thing, so I'm thinking it's going to be the latest version. It is 59.0.2. So no matter, even with Firefox, you're getting regular, consistent updates because there's usually a security reason for getting that update. OBS 21.1.1. I'm guessing it's the same version here. Yep, same version on my desktop computer. Stacy, I'm not sure. I haven't noticed that being an issue. Hard to say. I know what you're talking about, though, because when I go and look at PDFs and I click the link, I don't see it natively either. What it ends up doing for me is opening up in an app. I forget which one it is, but an app in Fedora. And it's really a GNOME-based app. You can always tell because if, for example, if I type in calc and I open, kcalc is the one that's for KDE, and then calculator is GNOME-based. And you can see that it doesn't have the correct buttons. And of course, if I open kcalc, it looks correct in KDE. And I have an app that opens, I'm not sure which one it is, but it is a GNOME app that displays, for the most part, my PDFs when I'm in Firefox. There are some things that Firefox just doesn't do all that well. Now, on this one, I did install the Chromium browser. I decided I would try that instead of Chrome, again, because it's purely open source. And so far, everything that I need in Chromium that I would need in Chrome has been supported. Running Netflix as an example, logging into my account, my YouTube account or my Google account is another thing. Being able to install plugins for advertisers is another example, or just any plugin really. But Chromium has worked pretty well for me. As a matter of fact, let's see if I can add it to the desktop. And Chrome and Chromium always wants the wallet service. Getting picky now, changing my order of my icons. That's important. Yeah, I like Chromium a lot. It actually works really well. Support-wise, I actually think it's a little bit better than Firefox. Now, I don't know how many of you are doing, YouTube videos. The sound library, the free music and sound library that you can get via YouTube, I have only been able to get it to work in Chromium or Chrome, and it used to play just fine in Firefox. Now that feature is broken, even if I'm logged in. So it looks like there was a change. Before, you could just go to their sound library and download any file and play it. Now you have to be logged in as a Google or YouTube user, which is fine. I understand. And Chromium, it will work. Firefox, it will not, even if you're logged in. And I don't know why that is. So I guess we should just make sure my GNOME login is going to work. I don't know what I left it as. I was playing around with it and making changes. But we'll log out and log into GNOME and see how things look. Okay, give me a second here. I swear, for these kind of videos, I should just make my password 2 characters. This password I use on these computers basically is a throwaway anyway. Okay, let's try again. There we go. You know what? I did not choose the GNOME login. I do that all the time. I kill myself. Let me go through that process again. I'll do log out and log out again. I don't like having to select log out twice. I think once I've said log out, I think I've said what I want. Anyway, you got to click the little cog here, and we have GNOME in Wayland, GNOME Classic Look, like 2.0, and on Xorg. And I'm going to go with GNOME on Wayland, and we're going to try that again. Put in what I call my junk password. Looks good. Now, I've been experimenting. You can't really see it as well as I could. I wish you could. If I was doing a screen capture, you'd be able to tell, but it's actually beautiful. It just, the interface looks gorgeous. I do recall now that I did make some changes, like up here on my toolbar. You can see through it, but I changed the wallpaper. I remember that. Okay, so I'm going to have to reset things, like right now, for example. I can't touch to click, so I'll have to change that. All my apps are still here. Now, the one thing I found interesting, when I'm in Wayland, let's go to Activities, Settings. And I would like to make a change. Now, here's the other thing. I'm doing the two-finger. Oh, I got a reverse scrolling again, too. Ugh. Reverse scrolling. Let's see. No. Devices? Yeah, resolution here. When you're in GNOME Xorg, for some reason it only supports native resolution in 16:9 and the rest are 4:3. It's really strange. And I don't, okay, I guess I can have it. If you're really going to use GNOME, I feel like on a 4K monitor you should go with 1920 by 1080. I guess I remember deciding on this one. Notice the scale set for 200%, and I'm doing 3200 by 1800. For some reason, I did decide to go with that one. I don't want natural scrolling. And tap to click. I know why that's turned off, just in case you're curious. I guess in GNOME there's some issue of getting false touching when you're using the keyboard and you're typing and your palm goes across the touchpad. It might create a click, but I really haven't had too much of a problem with that. I did change over the buttons here and made a few changes. This was actually before I went to Fedora 28. And I don't believe I need to hit, yeah, you don't have to do any type of save. Now, if you're curious, we could see, we'll go back into devices and displays, and I'm going to go back to 1920 by 1080. Now that one I do have to apply. Of course, things look huge, so I'll go to 100% and apply again and keep changes. The thing is, why do I run it in 4K? Because this screen looks beautiful in 4K. It's all dependent on what you like, but like from right here, right now, I really cannot tell that much. The thing is, if you don't run it in 1920 by 1080 and you open an app like Firefox, you can see how small everything is. If I do Control Plus, I mean, I kind of have to go up to 130%. And it just, scaling wise, I just feel like it, GNOME is not really that good at it. And you have to do that for every single tab you open up. So here's another one. I got to bring that one up, not 200%. And if you bring another one up and you go to Google or whatnot, you have to zoom it up. And because I created a user account for Firefox, now when I log back into KDE, it'll actually be causing problems. In other words, I'll have to zoom down all of these tabs. You can change font and stuff like that. I'm trying to think if I installed any tools. Honestly, don't remember. Yeah, I did. I installed tweaks. So I can go in here. Hey, get over there. And I could increase font size a little bit. So you can scale the fonts, and you can see that all the fonts are scaling up, but although that's beautiful, and for me, being nearly blind, okay, I'm not that bad with my glasses. Let's say we left it there, we go back to Firefox. It doesn't affect fonts inside Firefox. Of course, it remembers what I was doing on this tab, which is wonderful. So if this was the only computer I was using, it would be fine. But when I go over to my desktop, it's huge, really big. And I don't like that. But I have to say, and just my opinion, but as far as the look and the fonts and the quality of the text on the screen, it looks beautiful. I really like GNOME 3. Now, I'm going to launch Kdenlive. We're going to see a big mess of things here. Look at Kdenlive in GNOME. I mean, this is a CF. This looks terrible. It's giant. It's unusable, in my opinion. And in order to fix this, what I would have to do, you have to go into settings again and go into KDE settings and go down to display and monitor, and then go to scale display. Here's the thing though, if you do change the scaling here in GNOME while you're using the KDE settings, when you go back into KDE, everything will be really, really tiny. So how do you get around that? The only way really is to go into KDE and change the actual screen resolution to 1980 by, no, 1920 by 1080 and turn the scaling off back to 100%, and then you'll be fine. What's the side effect? Well, when you're at 1080p, things are just going to be a little bit more blurry. So, long and the short of it, the GNOME interface is much more attractive, and I think it looks much more modern and beautiful, you know. But it's just not compatible with all the KDE apps. And, excuse me, Kdenlive is the #1 app that I use. So, unfortunately, I kind of need to be able to do all of this while I'm in KDE, and I want KDE to look the best. Okay, sorry, I have to catch up with your comments. Yeah, Java development's a little bit beyond me. I haven't done that in probably 10 years, Martin. It's been a while. I have to say the Lenovos have worked really good for me, Stacy, as far as palm rejection. I really wish GNOME would look, the KDE apps would look really good in GNOME, because to me it's the most beautiful interface. I've gotten close with Plasma, but not quite, you know, it kind of, and people have commented on this, it kind of reminds them of those who are around Windows Vista. And I laugh at that, but, you know, it is more retro, I guess you could say. Now, the latest thing I've done with KDE is I've decided to go with a dark, excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice here. I went with a darker interface, just as an experiment, and I do like it. I've turned YouTube onto a darker interface, and now look at my zoom. I'm at 133 from when we were over in GNOME. So I've got to go back down. 110 to 100 is about right. And dashboard, pretty good, a little bit small. I like it at about 110. So let's open Google. Not too bad, but I don't need it at 120%. So that's one of the things I feel like Linux still hasn't quite gotten a handle on, is the, you know, scaling in KDE, GNOME, or whatever. They still have a little bit of work to do to get it working, hopefully better. All right, have a good one, Napstar. I hope we have your name right. I'm not 100% sure. You should be able to, I know you can develop Java in Linux. Vivaldi, huh? I've never used that, Ritual. Just out of curiosity, Martin, what did you pay for your Acer E5? Sounds like an excellent system, 8th generation. Is it a 4-core, I'm assuming? It must be. Yeah. And running Fedora, cool. I'll look around about Java development for Fedora. It's got to be easy. Okay, I say that, but remember what I said about application support in Fedora? They make it a little harder than they need to. Not for everything, just for some of the applications. All right. Well, I think I've bored you guys enough for one night. We did successfully get Fedora 28 installed in about 50 minutes, so I'm just 10 minutes shy of an hour, which really isn't that bad. I haven't seen any bugs yet. Does that mean there's not going to be any? Well, you know how it goes. There's always a chance. Tomorrow I'll do an update, and we're going to see how many updates it does. there's usually quite a steady stream of updates for the first month or so, and I'll try to post on my Twitter channel and let you know what's going on as far as updates. Hopefully there's not too many. It just depends. I really appreciate you being here and hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I was going to do it as a regular video, but I thought, what the heck, I might as well just go ahead and shoot it. I'm sitting out here on the deck enjoying myself. Well, now I'm inside, but I was. And figured I might as well just go ahead and do a live video really quickly. Everything seemed to go great. So if you're thinking of upgrading to Fedora 28, I'm sure it would be fine. I've never had a problem before, and hopefully you won't either. And of course, do your updates afterward for the next week or so, and it should solve any problems you have. All right, folks, thank you for hanging around, and I'll try to get one of my other 2 videos edited in the next couple days and get that uploaded as well. You're very welcome, Ritual. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.